Oh, is it so strange that girls like me can't you see only that girls like me?
You're listening to Grave Encounters on Pushing Underground Radio.
So that was The Birthday Party with She's Hit. And before that you heard Voltaire with Dead Girls. The Birthday Party is, of course, Nick Cave of the Bad Seeds early punk band. Birthday Party, it's so weird. Like, I've got their greatest hits, and I don't think I've actually sat down and listened to it from start to finish. I really should, because it's fantastic. But it's just... because almost all of it is like that song I just played. It just makes you feel very sludgy and gives you a strange desire to do copious amounts of heroin, like the band were doing when they were recording the majority of the Birthday Party stuff. And I could probably do without heroin in my life, I think. I think that's probably a plan. It's time to hear from Mr. Theodore Bundy now. This is a rare interview with him that I found. It's on YouTube, so it's not super rare. You know, it's not like an exclusive cut, if you will. But this is an interesting little interview, just a little 5-minute thing. It's got some music in the background that's a bit cheesy, but you can just ignore that. It doesn't really detract from what he's saying. This is Ted Bundy talking about his childhood, and also talking about the influence that pornography had on his life and possibly on his actions. Take it away, Mr. Bundy.
I grew up in a wonderful home with 2 dedicated and loving parents and one of 5 brothers and sisters. A home where we as children were the focus of my parents' lives, where we regularly attended church with 2 Christian parents who did not drink, they did not smoke, there was no gambling, there was no physical abuse or fighting in the home. Basically, I was a normal person. I wasn't some guy hanging out in bars or a bum. I wasn't a pervert in the sense that, you know, people look at somebody and say, I know there's something wrong with them, but just tell. I mean, I was essentially a normal person. I had good friends. I led a normal life, except for this one small but very potent and very destructive segment of it that I kept very secret, very close to myself, and didn't let anybody know about it. And part of the shock and horror for my dear friends and family years ago when I was first arrested was that there was no clue. They looked at me and they looked at the all-American boy. And it happened in stages, gradually. It doesn't necessarily, not to me at least, happen overnight. My experience with, I'd say, pornography generally, but with pornography that deals on a violent level with sexuality, is that once you become addicted to it, and I look at this as a kind of addiction. Like an addiction, you keep craving something which is harder, something which gives you a greater sense of excitement, until you reach the point where the pornography only goes so far. You reach that jumping off point where you begin to wonder if maybe actually doing it will give you that which is beyond just reading about it or looking at it. Listen, I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography. Those of us who have been so much influenced by violence in the media, in particular pornographic violence, are not some kinds of inherent monsters. We are your sons and we are your husbands. And we grew up in regular families. And pornography can reach out and snatch a kid out of any house today. He snatched me out of my home. They'd snatched me out of my home 20, 30 years ago. And as diligent as my parents were, and they were diligent in is no protection against the kinds of influences that are loose in the society that tolerates.
So that was just a little excerpt there of Ted Bundy talking about pornography and him growing up. What do you guys think about that? I mean, is Bundy was Bundy just making excuses for himself there towards the end, or do you think he had a genuine point? I mean, is pornography and pornographic violence in the media, is it damaging? I mean, you've got to bear in mind, he's talking, what is that, 79, that interview? 89? Not quite sure the chronology of this, but still, it was a while ago, and things have only got more graphic since then. I mean, personally, I'm very liberal when it comes to media. As far as I'm concerned, you can show whatever you want. Like, I've seen some messed up stuff, and as long as it's not real people, then it's not really a problem. Like, a lot of people get up in arms about horror movies and torture porn and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd be very interested to know what any of the regular listeners, or indeed any of the new listeners listening to this right now, think about all this. Be interested to hear your thoughts. If you want to get in touch with me on the show, I'm on Twitter at DJ Awesome Wells, and if you'd like to have a longer conversation with me, or you've got more to say, then go to email me at pushingunderground@hotmail.co.uk. And I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and perhaps we'll do like a kind of reader, like mailbag thing at some point if I get enough responses from people. But yeah, don't be shy. Do get in touch. It's always good to hear from people. And indeed, if you have any requests for this show or any of the other shows I do, or any recommendations, just get in touch. So, rather appropriately, I'm now going to play you a song called Psycho Killer to go with the Ted Bundy thing. This is by Talking Heads.